What's good, y'all? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles. You are listening to Real Talk of Miles Johnson, where we always keep it real. Let's get straight into it, man. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Share to friend, share to friend. Let's get into some real talk. Boom! Eagles, Chiefs. It's the Super Bowl rematch. I can't wait to see this game. I can't wait to see the Eagles step into Arrowhead. Jalen Carter, his first game of the season, because we're not counting the Cowboys one when he got ejected out the game before the game started, essentially. So we're going to talk about certain matchups we're looking forward to seeing. We're going to talk about Jalen Carter coming back and his impact. Got to talk about Hurts, Saquon, AJ Brown. He had some comments about how he was used against the Cowboys week 1. Talk about all of that stuff again. Show some love, like, comment, subscribe. And the first topic I want to touch on is Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. Did you know that Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes are the only quarterbacks in NFL history to beat each other in the Super Bowl and meet again in the regular season? We're watching history. These are the true rivals. I'm not trying to hear Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes being rivals. Joe Burrow hasn't won anything. I don't want to hear Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes being rivals. Patrick Mahomes beats Josh Allen every single time in the postseason. But this matchup, Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes, they're 2-2 against each other. 2-2. And I'm looking at this saying to myself, I think this is the real rivalry in the NFL. These are the guys that everybody wants to be like them. Everybody wants a Super Bowl ring. Everybody wants a Super Bowl MVP. These guys have that. The other guys, the Herberts, the Goffs, the Burrows, the Daks, the Loves, etc., they want to achieve that. And that's what these guys have. So that's what I believe. This is a true rivalry. Now, here's what I will also say too. I know for a fact that Jalen Hurts is going to bring his A game against Patrick Mahomes. He's done it every single time. Like, you could argue that every time Hurts has played Mahomes, he's outplayed him. If you want to say the first Super Bowl, Mahomes outplayed him slightly because he didn't turn over the ball, all right, fine, but it was damn close. And the next time they faced each other, it wasn't even a discussion. Hurts completely outplayed Mahomes. Mahomes had arguably his worst game of his career. So we're looking at this and we're saying to ourselves as well, the Eagles are walking into Arrowhead with no pressure. No pressure. And it's crazy that the reigning and defending Super Bowl champions don't have pressure going into week 2. That's because the Chiefs have all the pressure. They lost their first game in Brazil. They lost their first game to Justin Herbert, who went berserk. And now they're on the verge of potentially being 0-2. You don't want to be that if you're the Chiefs. You're at home. You have to feel like, okay, we got embarrassed in front of the world, and now we're back home at Arrowhead. We got to beat these guys. So the Eagles are playing with house money, because I actually thought before the season started that this would be a game that the Chiefs would win just because they would be so amped up for the game. I think given their injuries, Xavier Worthy, he's been out. Rashee Rice, he's definitely out. So even if Xavier Worthy plays, he's not going to be 100% at all. You got Travis Kelce, who is clearly past his prime. The Chiefs have no run game. The Chiefs' offensive line is still a work in progress because they had to move several pieces, and their offensive line looks like this. Their left tackle is a rookie in Josh Simmons. They have Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who are both fantastic interior offensive linemen. Who are they going to be up against? Jalen Carter. I will say it again. Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are going to have to double team Jalen Carter. They did that in the Super Bowl, and that allowed Jordan Davis to go off, Mora Jomo to go off, Nolan Smith to go off, Josh Sweat to go off, Milton Williams to go off. So Jalen Carter's presence is such an impact for this Eagles team that it allows other people to be great. That's why missing Jalen Carter, I can't really grade this Eagles defense until I see Jalen Carter go crazy, because Jalen Carter allows for Mora Jomo to be his best self, for Jordan Davis to be his best self, for Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt to be their best selves. So when you have the Chiefs' best two offensive linemen, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, they are on Jalen Carter. Now I'm looking at Mora Jomo. He's up against Kingsley Suamataia. Suamataia. This guy is their left guard who actually was benched last year. But I love Mora Jomo's chances one-on-one with Kingsley. You got Josh Simmons, who I think is going to be a really good left tackle in his career. The thing is, he's just a rookie. And he had a couple of false starts week one. He had a couple of holding calls that should have been called. So even though I do believe that the Chiefs got themselves a guy, the Ohio State left tackle, it's going to be a work in progress. The guy's a rookie. So with the speed of Nolan Smith, I love that matchup. I love it. So the Chiefs' offense is at such a disadvantage because their offensive line ain't like that for real. Their running back room ain't like that for real. Their wide receiver room ain't like that for real. And their tight end room, Travis Kelce, is past his prime. So all they got is Patrick Mahomes. And when you have Jalen Carter being the game record that he is, it just opens the game for the rest of this defense to feast. I would love to see what Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond do against Travis Kelce, because we have seen just how lethal, how great Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond were off rip, being able to not only stop the run, but also be excellent in coverage. I mean, the space that they cover for linebackers, you would have thought that was a safety. I thought that was CJ, DJ in the jaw right there. Like, so ultimately, that's how I look at the Chiefs offensively and how they compare to the Eagles offensively. The only way that the Chiefs offense can consistently gain yards is by attacking Adoree Jackson. That's the only way, because I have confidence in Cooper DeJean. I have confidence in Quinyon Mitchell, but I will say Andy Reid is the best offensive play caller of all time. He's going to go at the weakest link on the secondary. That's what's going to happen. So that's their only way of getting points, because it's not going to be running the ball. It's not going to be feeding Travis Kelce like that against Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond. It's going to be on Andy Reid schematically setting up his guys to go at the weakest link on the Eagles defense. And that's Adoree Jackson at this point. And so we will see if Vic Fangio is right by starting this guy. And you have to respect Vic Fangio's intelligence, his acumen, having so much knowledge, so many decades of experience, coaching defense. You have to respect that. But we also have our own two eyes. Like, we also have our own two eyes, and we have seen Adoree Jackson get cooked. Granted, it was CD, it was Pickens, but I mean, I saw one play, first drive of the game, where literally Adoree Jackson had outside leverage on CD. Reid Blankenship or Andrew Makuba had help inside. Adoree Jackson gets turned around. CD beats him outside, gets the pass. They end up scoring, and they got Javonte Williams his first touchdown of the season. Watch that last drive. Watch that 33-yard pass to CD Lamb, and you will see just how poor of technique that Adoree Jackson used when all he had to do was funnel CD to the middle of the field. Don't let him go outside. I still get pissed off over that. So they're going to attack Adoree Jackson. And then the last part is you have to account for Patrick Mahomes to use his legs. I mean, what Patrick Mahomes did in week 1 against the Chargers, he was trying to pull a Jalen Hurts. He was out there running with his legs, making plays, being a playmaker. And I was like, that looks a lot like what I saw the day before on Thursday night. And Jalen Hurts was magnificent. Patrick Mahomes tried to do his best impersonation of that. But one thing that Patrick Mahomes loves to do is that he will run to the sideline, act like he's about to go out of bounds, and then take a cheap shot on the defender because the defender doesn't want to get a roughing the passer penalty or a penalty where, oh, you're being excessive, all that stuff, because they love to protect the quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes, he's smart, but I also think it's corny that, like, you're using this rule to get a couple extra yards. Like, I just feel like it's super corny. He acts like he don't be trying to do that stuff. But the way that Patrick Mahomes decked that Chargers player, oh, everybody on that Eagles team, I hope they saw that. I hope they saw that. I hope every Eagles player saw Patrick Mahomes deck that Chargers player. Yes, because it's fair game. And if whether it's Cooper DeJean, whether it's Jahad Campbell, Zach Bond, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, whoever it is, if they see Patrick Mahomes going to the sideline, deck his ass. Deck his ass. And they end up giving him 15-yard penalty. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Because I would rather have that than Patrick Mahomes out here decking our guys because they're too scared to hit him because of this soft behind rule. I would rather them put him on his ass and let him know, don't try that stuff with Philly. Don't try that stuff with the Eagles because you love doing that. Let's stop that, bruh. Now let's get to the Eagles offense. So obviously, A.J. Brown only had one target, and you can't have that. Like, that's not even acceptable to do because we know how great A.J. Brown is. Now, the one knock that you can have for A.J. Brown is that against zone coverage, either he is not schemed open like these other wide receivers are, like a Jamar Chase, a CD Lamb, a Jettas, or someone could say, is it A.J. Brown not being schemed open? Like, is this Kevin Patullo's fault? Or is A.J. Brown's game more suited for man-to-man coverage rather than zone? Now, the best receivers can do both. They can be excellent man-to-man. You can't guard them. But also in zone coverage, they find them soft spots and they pick apart the defense that way. Jamar Chase, Jettas, they are excellent at both. Man-to-man coverage, I believe A.J. Brown is the best receiver in the league. Zone coverage, he's not as effective. Some could say, hey, well, he was out of training camp with that hamstring injury. So that could be the reason why, once he releases, he's not as explosive as he might otherwise be. And I think there's some validity in that. Now, the notion that A.J. Brown can't create separation, dude, the Cowboys weren't in man-to-man coverage one time because they respected A.J. Brown so much. They knew if we have Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, any of these guys one-on-one against A.J. Brown, it's wraps. So we have to play zone. We have to play two high shell. That's the only way to stop deep shots from A.J. and Smitty. Now, what the Cowboys were able to do was not only play two high shell, but you was also able to stop Saquon Barkley from going off. They had 8-man boxes against Saquon Barkley. Now, I think a lot of it was because of the Eagles' personnel. Like, they had heavy run concepts, and instead of playing 11 personnel, they were playing in 12 personnel, I believe, right? In week one, Barkley ran 18 times for 60 yards, 3.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Oddly, the Eagles didn't run out of 11 personnel, which is one running back, one tight end, and 3 wide receivers, which has always been their strength. Instead, they mainly ran out of 12 and 13 personnel, 2 and 3 tight end sets. Those runs didn't work out. So Kevin Patullo has to be better with, okay, if they want to play zone, if they want to go out here and stop A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, deep balls down the sideline, all right, cool. We need to formulate better concepts to get Saquon Barkley going, right? Because the Eagles only won that game because when A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, when these guys were not open and Saquon was getting locked up, it was Jalen Hurts when the defense had their back to him. He ran for 15 yards here, a first down here, and kept moving the chains to rushing touchdowns. So he was able to be that difference maker. And this brings me to my next point. This Eagles offense is so lethal because if you play man-to-man, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are winning that battle every single time. If you have light boxes and the Eagles have favorable number matchups in the running scheme, Saquon Barkley is going to rush for $150 and 3 touchdowns. And then if you're able to some way, somehow limit Saquon Barkley and limit A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, you got a dual threat quarterback in Jalen Hurts, one of the best of his time, that can run amok and make you pay for not having a spy on him and not being disciplined to contain him from going outside the pocket. So the Eagles are so great because they are able to look at this and say to ourselves, we can beat teams any way that they want, any way that they want. And we'll do it. We'll dictate it. And Hurts is going to play within the game. So I do believe that the Eagles are going to win this game. My score prediction is going to be 33-24. I think that the Eagles win comfortably in Arrowhead. I think early on, you're going to see Andy Reid pick at Adoree Jackson, and Vic Fangio is going to have to put Jacorian Bennett in, and we will see what he does. So I'm excited to see that. But also, I'm excited to see this Eagles defense with Jalen Carter. That's why it's hard to have an opinion on the Eagles defense if they don't have their best player. Like, judge me when I'm at my best. Don't judge me when I don't got the tools around me. Like, you can't judge a chef and he doesn't have the ingredients to make a 5-star meal. But when he has the ingredients and he got Jalen Carter playing like the best defensive tackle in the game, then you got Morozoma. See, that's the great part about this Eagles team. And I feel like Jordan Davis and Morozoma didn't get enough credit for what they did in helping pitch a shutout in the second half, playing the high percentage of snaps that they did. And knowing they weren't going to be doing that before the game started because they suspected Jalen Carter would be in the game and not get ejected 6 seconds in. It's very, very, respectable for Carter and Ajomo to go in there and be like, hey, let's step up. It wasn't perfect in the first half. They definitely got ran through. They definitely was able to let Dak Prescott just ping, ping, ping there. He had all the time in the world in the pocket. But there were times that Jordan Davis got pressure, that Morajomo got pressure. They just got to finish the job. But again, it's going to be way easier with Jalen Carter in. My last point, I want to talk about the Packers and Commanders game. Um, Look, there's a reason why I have been saying ever since the Packers got Micah Parsons that they are a threat to the Eagles. The Eagles are still number one, but the Packers are number two. Now, the only thing that I'm watching for with the Packers is who emerges as their wide receiver one. Who does? Because I think they got wide receiver twos, some really good wide receiver threes, but they don't have a legit one. And I think come playoff time, you're going to need a legit one to turn up. Unless you got Patrick Mahomes, and clearly the Packers don't, then you can win a bowl without having a number one wide receiver. Like, that's the only way. And so we're looking at this. And yes, the Packers, they are legit. That defense is legit. The other part of it, too, is y'all know I've been down on the Lions and I have been down on the Commanders. I like Jalen Daniels a lot, and I got respect for him. But he's also been inaccurate these first two games. He has below 60% completion percentage. And for the folks that are saying Jaden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump, you're feeling great right now. I think with Jaden Daniels, it's like teams got more tape on you. I still think he's going to be a problem for the next 10 years. But to act like this guy isn't going to have some valleys in his career, like you're tripping, bro. That's going to happen. But the Commanders, they have no run game. Terry McLaurin is looking like Brandon Ayuk last season because when you miss training camp and you don't get those reps, it's going to bite you come the regular season. Deebo Samuel, I'll give it to him. He looked good. He looked good. He looked good. Zach Ertz, they look good. They've been the brightest spots of this team. On the other side, that Packers defense, I don't know if the Lions are that bad. I don't know if the Commanders offense was that bad or if it was Micah Parsons and this Packers defense led by Jeff Hafley, the former head coach of Boston College. I wonder if that is the reason why they look so bad. So again, it's early in the season. We're going to see. But the Packers are legit. Like, let's stop the cap and act like they aren't an actual threat. We still got the Eagles, but let's not act like defensively the Packers did the best job against the Eagles in the playoffs. And they added a top 3 pass rusher in the game. And we've been seeing what Mike is doing. Like, folks try to act like, oh, Micah Parsons coming to the Eagles. Like, oh, like, I don't want him. I'm good. Look at the guy. Like, get the Cowboys bias out. Look at the guy. He's nice. He is going to change life with the Green Bay Packers. Let's call a spade a spade. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It is crazy that the Packers are number 1 in the NFC with Super Bowl odds. I think that's crazy. I do think it's crazy that the Packers and Jordan Love, after beating the Commanders, have now jumped the Eagles and are the favorite to win the NFC. I do think that's insane. They have the second best odds to win the Super Bowl. I think that's crazy. I think they're a top 3, top 4 team, but you can't jump the Eagles, bruh. That's crazy to me. But if you're a betting man and the Eagles are plus 750 to win the Super Bowl, I'm pouncing on that. I'm pouncing on that. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It is Real Talk with MJ. I know I'll always keep it real. I love y'all. We are out.